Hello everyone, Pavan here, and I'm back with another episode of Gardening on Nandanavanam. In today's episode, I will cover the details on how I built my tower garden. Building my first tower garden involved a lot of trial and error and ended up taking more than a week, although it feels like it has taken forever. And then I created this template. Follow along this episode to learn how to make a tower garden by yourself in about 6 to 8 hours. Obviously, that depends upon how many tools you have handy, so it might take a little longer, but it's totally worth it. If you are here for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Pavan and I love to garden. As I garden, I make these episodes to help out aspiring gardeners take advantage of my experiences. Please subscribe to the channel to learn great gardening tips, watch interesting harvest videos, and yum recipes with homegrown food. Shout out to Sam for his request to post this episode. Sam, it took me a while, but here I am posting this episode on your request. Hope you and everyone else are able to follow these instructions to build a tower garden yourself. Happy gardening, and let's kick off this episode. First things first, why did I think about building a tower garden? Or why should you? I live in an urban setting and have a small yard, at least relative to my aspiration, that is. I do understand the space I have is a luxury in itself, especially as compared to the tight pockets of space a household has when living in an apartment setting. Those are some experiences my younger self has gifted me. So I am conscious that there are a lot of people who have a much smaller pocket of space when living in an apartment setting. And those of you who have been watching my channel know that I'm fond of leafy greens and like to grow them in my garden. So those are the two reasons: having less space and my fondness to grow leafy greens. Because of these reasons, I've decided to make a few tower gardens and dedicate them to growing a combination of greens and herbs. Why that combination? Is because herbs are perennials which come back year after year, and greens are typically a one time or a seasonal crop which have short growing cycles. So between these crops, the tower garden is green almost year round, barring the few peak winter months for me in Seattle. For the folks in parts of world which do not have frosting or extreme heat, that means you are lucky, and the tower garden ensures that you are surrounded with greenery year round. Needless to say, the sight of green filled tower garden lifts my spirits and also contributes back a ton of oxygen. Every human being typically use about 550 liters of oxygen per day, and each of my tower garden produces anywhere between 20 to 30 pounds of greens every season, which means at any given point of time each of my tower garden has at least a minimum of 10 pounds of greens growing in them. Why does it matter? Just so you know, that means each of my tower garden is releasing 660 liters of oxygen per day. So in addition to giving me and my household fresh, nutritious, contaminant and pesticide free food, these tower gardens also help me, my household and neighborhood with a lot of fresh oxygen. They can help you too. So get started, start building your tower garden and benefit from it. The distance between intention and reality is your action. While the most important object required to build the tower garden is obviously a 55 barrel drum, you also need to act on your intention to build a tower garden. Here I was sharing that intention with a group of friends last August, and over the next few months, I've managed to find time and make it a priority to turn these barrels into a thriving ecosystem, or at least the first one of those. One word of caution before you get started on your journey: I want you to ensure you are picking food grade drums which were previously used specifically to store food products. Picking any drum because they are available would mean you are actually harming yourself by unintentionally poisoning your food supply. Drums which were previously used to store chemicals can be extremely hazardous if you pick those to grow food. So please be careful about it. The drums which I purchased were previously used to store soy sauce for a restaurant. And no, I didn't spend a fortune on them. I just paid about $20 a piece. Other than the barrel, your actions, and the time you spend, rest of the objects that I show in this video are completely optional. I am using them because I have them available and also because I want to increase the utility of the built tower garden and to make the process easier on me. The first step is to decide how many pockets you would like to have for each row in your tower garden. I've experimented with both 3 and 4 pockets and recommend you go with 3 pockets in each row. Second, place the barrel on a level floor and pick a piece of 2 by 6 lumber and place it alongside the barrel to mark a dot on either side of the lumber and connect these dots by drawing a line across them. Repeat these steps for 3 times for each row. That gives you 3 pockets for each row. Using the lumber piece will ensure that all the pockets within a single row are exactly aligned and are placed at different heights. Number 3, pick a stripe of wood. Don't have one? Don't worry about it. You can pick these for free from Home Depot or Lowe's lumber section. You can look for these in the scrap wood pile. You just need to eat your ego and ask for it, and the answer is most of the times yes. If that is too much for you to do, then you can buy these for a few dollars from those same stores. If you pay close attention, you can see that I have marked the wooden stripe with crosses and bars. Why did I do that? That is to make sure that all the pockets of the tower garden, I mean, the pockets across all the rows are not exactly at the same height. You want to interlace different rows of pockets at different heights so the plants are not competing for space and light. At the same time, you also want to ensure that the pockets in each row are exactly aligned with each other. Having a piece of wood does not magically give you the exact spots to mark these crosses and bars. To figure out where do you mark these, place the wooden stripe next to the dots we have earlier made and start marking the bars. These bars represent the height for the pockets in one row of the tower garden. Number 5, repeat step number 4 for another row right next to the first row, but this time you want to pick different heights so the pockets in the second row are positioned between two pockets in first row. Now mark those spots with crosses on the wooden stripe. When you're done marking all the crosses and bars, you should see 3 crosses and 3 bars on the wooden stripe, and between every 2 crosses you should see a bar. If that's what you see, you're all set. Have you managed to mess it up like me? Well, you are in company and I've done it too. Good news is you can turn the stripe around and you can do it all over, and only be careful this time. Okay, enough of prep work already. Let's get to work. Number 6, all you need to do is to place the wooden stripe next to the barrel and start drilling holes at the marked spots. Marking these crosses and bars on the wooden stripe has certainly saved me at least 10 plus hours in building each tower garden. Number 7, I've gotten 12 rows for each tower garden, which means I'll end up having 36 pockets in all, 6 rows at one height and another 6 rows interlaced at a different height. They are not just visually appealing, there is a utility to doing it this way. Hence why I am being so particular about it. When you're done building the tower garden, when you start watering these pockets directly, then water is going to start flowing from one pocket to the other if they are interlaced well at the right heights. So if you followed along the instructions so far and did it well, you should also see 12 rows with 30 pockets for each tower garden. And oh, by the way, I just recollected that I forgot to mention something. You also need to decide the width of each pocket. I chose to keep them about 6 inches wide each, and that is why I chose a 6-inch lumber. If you want smaller size pockets, you can pick a 2 by 4 lumber piece, and that would end up making more pockets. Number 8. Now that you are done drilling holes for all the pockets, you want to open up the top of the barrel. I have a power saw with blade. You can also use a regular saw to achieve this. Either way, mark a spot on the top of the barrel and drill a few consecutive holes to make it easier for the saw to do its thing. Number 9, once you're done opening up the top of the barrel, use a knife to clean up the rough edges at the top. You can also use a sandpaper if that is your choice. I've used a combination of both. Number 10, time to start making splits to open up the pockets. Start your saw with one side of the pocket and make your way across to the other. Here I have a tip to share. This is something which saved me more than 2 days in building each tower garden. Don't be very picky about the size and shape of your pockets. If one of your pockets is 6.5 or 7 inches instead of 6 inches, it's not the end of the world. So when you're making a split for the pocket, cut them for about 6.5 to 7 inches wide, and this will make it very easy for you to do the next step. Number 11, now that you have made the splits for the pockets, clean up the rough edges on each of the pockets as well. We do not want any of these plastic noodles to hang around and mix up with the soil. I was extremely particular about it, and I would recommend you all to also be particular and clean up these plastic noodles. Trust me, it is time well spent. You don't want plastic mixing around with your plants. Number 12, once that part is all clear, you want to pick two things. One, a heat source. I've picked this heat gun as a heat source. If you do not have the heat gun, you can arrange for an alternate heat source like a candle or something. And number two is a 2 by 6 lumber piece with a 45-degree wedge on one end. Ensure that the lumber piece is at least 2 to 3 foot tall so it gives you enough leverage to open up the pockets. Number 13, run the heat gun on each pocket for about 2 to 3 minutes. That would make the plastic soft enough. Once the plastic is soft enough, insert the wedge of the lumber into the pocket and push it in. Number 14, I recommend having multiple pieces of this lumber with wedge. Why? Because after you insert the wedge into each pocket and open it up, it takes about 30 minutes to cool down and harden. And as that is in progress, you want to start working on another pocket in parallel, and having multiple pieces of lumber will help you achieve it. And number 15, once you're done with making all the pockets, you're technically ready with the tower garden. You can call it a day and start filling up good soil and get started with planting. There is more about the tower garden than what we covered so far, but let me conclude this episode with this. I shall post a part 2 shortly, which will cover more steps on how to extend the basic tower garden that we've built so far into a thriving ecosystem. I shall leave affiliate links in the description section to the tools which I've used so far in this episode in making the tower garden. If you do not have any of these tools and intend to purchase them, check these links and try them out. These tools are working well for me. I'll hope you all will take some action and not just intend to build this tower garden. Keep me posted in the comment section on how your journey goes. I wish you the best in building the tower garden and making them part of your garden. Stay tuned to Nandanavanam and please do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so you do not miss interesting episodes. Thank you all for being with me today. Hope this episode was informative and helpful. If you do like the video, please smash that thumbs up button. By doing it, YouTube will recommend my video to more viewers, and that is an easy way for you all to show your appreciation towards the channel and motivate me to continue posting these episodes. Happy gardening. This is Pawan signing off until the next video. You all have fun growing and spending time in your garden.